I'd like to call this Johnston County Board of Education special session, October 6th, 2022 meeting in session. Ms. Dance, we do have a quorum. We have 6 board members present, and Mr. K. Carroll will be joining us via Zoom here shortly. At this time, we'll call on Mr. Al Bird for the invocation, and then Ms. Lynn Andrews, would you mind doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
Father, we're so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to do business on behalf of Johnston County Public Schools. We pray today that we may be handled business, Lord, decent in order, and to be pleasing to you. We honor and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. At this time, I will call on Mr. Malone.
We forwarded to the board earlier today the report. It's my understanding, I think, Ms. Dance and Ms. Carr, it's online also for people, that we were asked by the chair to look into. Do all the board members have a copy of the report?
I've been traveling. I've read it, but can I have a hard copy as well?
I do have paper copies. Oh, sorry. All right.
Mr. Carroll has joined us. Hello? Hey, Mr. Carroll, we got you now.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, Mr. Carroll.
Okay, all right. So as with the other reports, the report kind of speaks for itself, and we provided it to people before the meeting this time to make sure that everyone had a chance to review it ahead of time. We also, while we got it online last time, we had staff add it to your meeting agenda online so that people can have access to it. And just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that before, we kind of get started. I would want to point out that we separately forwarded a copy of the report to Mr. Johnston's lawyer, Ronald Johnston's lawyer, this morning. She did send an email response this afternoon noting that she feels that the nature of the investigation, that she and her client were misled about the nature of the investigation. We have gone back and reviewed our emails, including the one from Mr. Sutton to Mr. Johnston, and we feel comfortable that the nature of the investigation was spelled out and that everybody understood that this was a review of whether or not Mr. Johnston's conduct violated board policies. We also understand from her email that we may get a supplemental affidavit from Mr. Johnston. It appears to be addressing some of the dates that are referenced in the current affidavit, but until we receive the supplemental affidavit, we won't know exactly what it speaks to. It does not appear, though, from her email that any of the key factors that are noted in the report, that Mr. Johnston acknowledges sending the text regarding a school employee during a board meeting in April, sending the text, in May, that there does not appear to be any dispute about that aspect of any of the information in the report, which are the key findings that Mr. Sue uses in supporting his conclusions that are in the report. So I'll again, Ms. Ken's not here, but, the report, we believe, otherwise speaks for itself.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. I would just like to clarify too that due to the time of night that I received this information, I notified Dr. Bracy the next morning around 8:15 a.m. on a Saturday, and then immediately called Mr. Malone to notify him as well. So I wanted everybody to understand that as soon as I got it, I took it very serious and turned it over to the proper protocols that we have in our policy in place. So with that being said, we've had time to review this. Is there any questions, comments from the board?
Well, as noted in the report, there are violations of our Code of Ethics, Policy 2120. As a retired employee, I had the privilege of standing in front of my Board of Education from time to time. And I just want to say that at no time did I ever feel disrespected by any member of the Board of Education. And I took my role as an employee very seriously, and part of the reason that I did that was because I knew that my Board of Education took our school system seriously. There was a mutual respect, and these text messages that were sent back and forth are extremely disrespectful, not just to the employee, but to females in general. Anytime a female stands in front of a Board of Education, she should feel that she is being treated with the same respect that any male would receive. And I am extremely disappointed.
Thank you, Ms. Hessems. Anyone else?
The purpose of the board is extracting employees. It places everyone sort of on a pins and needles thing in terms of, what's going on. Who can I trust? Who can I trust? And that's one of the things that we as the Board of Education must establish for us to, one, be accountable to the public, and two, move ahead with confidence that we're going in the right direction, and that people can trust what we say, and people can feel free to express themselves without some sort of retribution that might occur. Certainly this is, based on what is presented to us, it's certainly a violation of the policy.
And I'll say this with the utmost respect. I did make these comments, and this has been almost 3 or 4 years ago. I proactively sought out this individual, apologized to this individual, and we were friends then. We were friends for years, and I told her about this, and it became a running joke between us. That doesn't change anything of what Ms. Sessoms and Mr. Carroll just said, but we were friends. We were very close, and this became a running joke between us. Like I said, it doesn't change anything, but if you read the document that I submitted, the only thing I got wrong in there may be a couple dates. We're talking years ago. And like I said, it doesn't change what you two just said. And it was a lapse of judgment. And I sought her out to tell her, make it right. And we became very close, like brother and sister. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, from this report, is it the individual, the employee is stating that she didn't know about these texts until August the 8th, 2022? That's what it said, that's what the report is indicating, that she had not seen the text until then.
That is correct. In Mr. Johnson's response, though, he does state that he does not know the date, but he believes, or he stated that he did provide the nature of the text to her prior to that time.
You know, in full transparency, I hung out with this lady about 10 to 20 times, and on a couple of those occasions, this was a point of conversation, and it was a point of discussion back in 2020, 2019, when we were friends, and I was at her house. I know I showed them to her, and she may not remember, but we hung out a lot. We talked on the phone quite a bit, and we texted a lot. And she was fully aware of this, and I think she does acknowledge that she was told about it, and it was discussed on multiple occasions, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Mr. Malone?
Again, what's in the report is, I'll let it speak for itself. She does not acknowledge seeing the actual text until they were on the Facebook Live post. The text that she has in here that's in the report from her to you, following that, she says that that's the first that she had seen of the text. So that's all that I can speak to is she does acknowledge conversations with you, I think, about the text themselves, but she says she had never seen the text until the August of this year.
So I don't think anybody can even deny the damage that a board member, whoever it might be, but a board member texting, and I want to read this if it's okay, because elected to serve a school district, and we have this going on at 2:02 p.m., which a board meeting started around 2, I guess, on April the 9th. I believe it's April the 9th. I may have my date wrong. April the 9th, that's 9th. She's wearing the hell out of that blue dress. That's a comment from Mr. Johnson. And Mr. Lawrence says, I'm glad you haven't lost your vision. And Ronald says, I'm feeling the relationship. Mr. Lawrence comments, is that all? And Mr. Johnson says, I'm ready right now. And Mr. Lawrence says, you stay on ready. And then in May, a text exchange between those two same people, Mr. Johnson, an open invitation to the one in purple. Shame on you, Mr. Lawrence comments. Shame on you, she's a mother. Aside from that, I agree. This is pitiful. It's pitiful. We've been elected to serve the community, and we're sitting here talking about employees of our school system that have come to present information, and I don't know what the information was that was presented that night or that day. It was the first one was afternoon. I'm not sure what time the May meeting was. But our job this is so far off. And when you look at our code of ethics, and you look at, I think it's section A3, Rod, correct me if I'm wrong, the need to avoid impropriety in the exercise of the board and a board member's official duties. You look at section B16, take no private action that will compromise the board or administration. You could go on and on. It's sad, this is sad, that we've got board members that are talking about having a relationship with somebody who's out there in the audience. If that's not going against everything that the citizens of Johnston County have placed us in this seat for, I don't know what is. And how in the world can employees in Johnston County schools, public schools, feel safe to come into this room and to present their different expertise areas and wonder what's going on around behind this horseshoe? I can't even believe, it's just, I don't have words for it.
Well, it's a blatant act of,
It's not, excuse me, this is not a game that we're playing around this horseshoe. This is children's lives. This is the livelihood of employees. This is not a game, Mr. Johnson. It's not a game, but it is to you. This was a game. Yes, it was. I'm sorry. It's just, this is the school district that I love and I want to serve. And I want to serve it with integrity. I want to serve it with excellence. And here we are dealing with something like this. It's just,
And it's
well, and in this role, we are role models. We are role models for children. We are role models for our employees. We are role models within this community, and that is why we are held to such high standards in terms of public trust laws. This is not the kind of behavior that we want our children to grow up thinking is okay. This is not the kind of behavior that we want our employees to participate in as they are working with our students. What has been modeled here would be extreme, just totally inappropriate and wrong for our employees to exercise. If one of our employees was doing this kind of thing about a student or a colleague, we're talking about serious damage here to someone's professional career, as well as what we hope to engender within our community. This hurts my heart for our children. It hurts my heart for our community. It hurts my heart for the people who come to work and work hard every day to do the right thing. It's a total disrespect, not just for the seat that we sit in, but it's a total disrespect for our school system and for the community. And we're charged not just with making sure that our kids are safe while they are with us, but we're also charged with making sure that they are good citizens when they leave us, that they're the kind of people that we want to live next door to, that are able to keep our economy going within this community. And that is why I have to agree with what Ms. Andrews just said. This is not a game. Our community depends on us.
An A, B, or C. This past, less than a month ago, we celebrated outstanding progress in our school system. And I'm sure every one of you all, just like me, have been approached in the public arena to say they're tired of this kind of stuff that we have to deal with. We all, I'm sure everyone sitting around this horseshoe want this to be a public issue, but unfortunately it is. An employee has complained about being disrespected, and certainly if you read policy code 1010, it is a true violation. It detracts us, knocks us off the rails of trying to support our superintendent administration and every teacher in every school in this county. We spend our time on this stuff. It has no place in public schools. We all should take be responsible for taking that oath that we're going to do our best to uphold the policies, Constitution of the state, and focus on school issues. Texting and emailing back and forth in board meetings is totally inappropriate. Our attention should be on matters front of us so we can make proper decisions. So I hope that at some point this board will be able to focus on the correct, right thing, to help our students and our schools achieve our common goal of everyone being an A, B, or C. And that's gonna take our total attention, no distraction. It's sad.
You know, when I heard this on that night, around 11:30 on a Friday night, I couldn't imagine what this individual was going through. I have an 18-year-old daughter at home. And I tried to put her in that same position of that podium right there and thinking of somebody saying that to her. How would I feel? How would she feel? There's no place for this type of text. I'm embarrassed for Johnston County Public Schools. I'm embarrassed for our employees that have to continue to see us come in this boardroom in special sessions when we don't need to be here. We've heard it. We don't want to be here either. I don't get the pleasure of having to call these types of meetings. It's not something I look forward to when I wake up every morning. But this right here is embarrassing. There's no place for it in this boardroom or anywhere else in society. We should be talking like this. It's sickening. While we're sitting here trying to conduct business that we were elected for, this is the type of response you're doing over there. Absolutely ridiculous. I am... And this is not a witch hunt or hearsay, as you said our previous ones were. It has no place whatsoever. And to the employee, on behalf of Johnston County Public Schools, I want to apologize for these actions. Unreal. I just don't. Miss Andrews and Miss Sessom said it best. And the likelihood of females coming in here at our next board meeting and having to present, are they going to have to think about this too? What's being said or what's being texted around this horseshoe? Unreal. Any other questions or comments?
I would like to say, obviously, I was appointed to this position, and it really has been an honor to serve over the last 18 months. And I would say, Mr. Johnston, this is probably, and you probably have admitted, this has definitely been a lapse of judgment. And if you probably could do it all over again, I know you probably would not. But I do believe that the people, the students, and the teachers, and the staff of Johnston County Public Schools probably deserve some type of apology, and just not only just say it was a lapse, I probably shouldn't have, but really a formal apology probably would be in order if you were able to do that.
Yeah, I'll certainly think on that. Obviously you've got legal counsel, I've got legal counsel, and I want to do the right thing, and that's why I sought out that young lady to give an informal apology. I appreciate your words, Mr. Burrs. I appreciate your tone, and thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman, in view of the violation of policy 1010, I would make a motion that this Board of Education censure Ronald Johnston for this inappropriate behavior and the damage done to the integrity of this Board of Education.
I was not able to hear clearly what Mr. Carroll said in terms of the number of the policy. I believe he's referencing 2120.
Yeah, the report cites Board Policy 1010, but it also cites 2120, and the findings of a violation of the policy are tied to 2120 as it relates to the cited violations in the report prepared by Mr. Sue.
Is that correct?
Reference to policy, correct policy, no.
So we have a motion by Mr. Carroll to censure Mr. Johnston based on policy 2120 violations. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion carries 6-1.
I can prepare, if the format for the previous censure is what the board would want to use here, I can borrow Dr. Bracey's office again and put something together relatively quickly, I think.
Is that the pleasure of the board for Mr. Malone to put together the resolution? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute, is that
Yeah,
10,
I mean,
5?
because we're going to use the same
Okay.
format, so
Well-
that should work.
We'll take a 5-minute break.
We just use the same format as the last one. I use the same format to keep it simple and just refer back to the report and hug the report.
As we did with the other resolutions, if it is the board's willing, we will vote, make a motion, we have a motion and a second, and vote on this resolution as well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could you read the resolution, please? I don't have a copy.
Mr. Carroll, if you could check your email that was just sent to you.
We just sent you a copy via email. Mr. Carroll, can you check that real quick?
And can you put it on here? I'm gonna send it to you so you can put it.
You afford it first.
Okay. Well, you've got it. Can you put it on the board docs or whatever?
Mr. Carroll, did you get a copy?
Yes, I got a copy of it.
Okay, good deal.
So I do not need to send it to you to get it posted?
No, Mr. Carroll has it now unless you want it on the.
I think for the public to be able to know what, it certainly, it would be useful.
Are you gonna put it up there?
There should be, I think. I think you can go ahead
Oh,
and,
you're not putting it on this screen, you're talking about,
well, I was talking about getting it in World Docs or what, I mean, in Board Docs or whatever.
Email it to me and we'll put it in the.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Are we voting on this?
Yes.
This,
And if you want to just, it's short, if you just want to read it so that the public will know, that may be easier, so there won't be any confusion about it.
Read for the public that is watching.
All right.
The resolution states, whereas in August 2022, a school employee notified Board Chair Todd Sutton of her allegation that Board Member Ronald Johnston sent inappropriate text messages concerning the school employee during board meetings in April and May of 2019. Whereas pursuant to Board Policy 2610, Board Chair Sutton asked Thornton and Smith to perform an independent investigation of the allegation that may have violated board policies, hereinafter allegation. Whereas counsel from Thornton Smith investigated the allegation consistent with Board Chair Sutton's request. Whereas Board Chair Sutton asked Thornton and Smith to present a report describing the investigation and findings attached as Exhibit 1 pertaining to the allegation to the board for review at the special board meeting on October 6, 2022. Whereas required by North Carolina General Statutes 115C-47 and 57, the board is required to adopt a resolution or policy containing a code of ethics. Whereas on July 13, 2021, the board adopted the current version of Board Policy 2120. Code of Ethics for school board members by unanimous vote of the 6 members in attendance at the meeting, including Board Member Ronald Johnston. Whereas Board Policy 2120, subsection A2, requires board members to commit to uphold the integrity and independence of the board member's office. Whereas Board Policy 2120, subsection A3, requires board members to commit to avoid impropriety in the exercise of the board's and board members' official duties. Whereas Board Policy 2120, subsection B4, requires board members to commit to model civility to students, employees, and all elements of the community by encouraging the free expression of opinion by all board members and engaging in respectful dialogue with fellow board members on matters being considered by the board. Whereas Board Policy 2120 subsection B16 requires board members to commit to take no private action that will compromise the board or administration. Whereas the investigator for the allegation made the findings reflected in Exhibit 1. Whereas the board concludes from the investigative report, the board member, Ronald Johnston, violated Board Policy 2120 per the findings articulated in the report, and whereas due to the seriousness of these violations, the board desires to take action to protect the rights of the school system students and employees, and to uphold the integrity of the board. It also states, now therefore be it resolved that the Johnston County Board of Education, by a vote of 6-1, does hereby censure Board Member Ronald Johnston and finds him in violation of Board Policy 2120 for the reasons articulated in the report, adopted this 6th day of October 2022.
So I left it blank, it actually says blank, but
Yes.
I left it blank for the vote just because I wasn't sure if the board would vote the exact same way on the resolution.
Correct,
But
correct.
whatever the vote is would go in that blank. That's the idea.
I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll go to a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
Mr. Chairman, given that in the other resolution, censor resolution that was issued before, I would make a motion that we send this resolution along with this report in its entirety to the District Attorney's Office.
Okay. We have a motion to submit the censorship as well as the resolution and findings of the investigation to the District Attorney's Office. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Mr. Carroll, you still there?
Oh, excuse me, yes, I thought you heard me.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries 6-1. At this time, with no further business upon this board, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Byrd. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We're now just adjourned.